Let's make 1 pot bechamel. And from your bechamel, you will turn your beautiful mother sauce into a leading sauce, otherwise called a daughter sauce. Today you're using cheese to make it into a cheese bechamel. So let's get started. By utilizing the cold water pasta cooking method with dried pasta, you end up with beautiful starchy pasta water that you then utilize in your finished dish to be part of the sauce. And that's what we're doing today. If you've never tried this method before, I encourage you to try it this time and you'll be able to see the difference. Now, how do you cook it? You start with cold water, you add the salt, almost as salty as the ocean, and you're cooking it just as if you were regular dried pasta. So get that on high heat, stir it so that it doesn't stick together a couple of times, and then once it is to your desired consistency, and in our case we're looking for al dente, so that's a little tiny bit of a chew in the pasta. We want to account for the fact that it's going to be baked in the oven a little bit as well. So once your pasta is cooked, then you will drain it as you would any other type of pasta, and please reserve about 1 cup of the pasta cooking water. And that way you will have a little bit of that starchy liquid that has some salt in it already. This is the magic ingredient to any future pasta sauces that you'll make. Now on to our bechamel. Our pasta's cooked, let's make our bechamel. You're going to make a blonde roux today. So I melted my butter, I'm adding my flour, and I'm cooking it on a low heat until it is just a shade darker than white, as you notice here. The reason I'm not making white roux is that I want a little bit of that toasty flavor. So after my roux is cooked, I add my milk in a little at a time. And the reason I'm adding it so slowly is because I'm using cold milk. Now, in some of the recipes you'll see on Ruby, it'll say that you need to heat up your milk, and that way everything's the same temperature. Not everybody has the time and organization for that. So if you have milk coming straight out of the refrigerator, that's fine. Just make sure that you add it a little bit at a time and you're mixing it well so that you do not have any lumps. Now, the finished consistency that you're looking for this mother sauce is a nappe consistency, and that in French translates to coating the back of a spoon. So once it has thickened to the nappe consistency, and I'll show you how to test that in just a moment, then you know that your sauce is the proper texture, viscosity. I'm also using a rubber spatula to make sure I don't have any scorched edges. And to finish my bechamel, I'm just adding a pinch of nutmeg. Notice that I did not season my bechamel with any salt. Typically for mother sauces, you do not season them since you're probably going to use them in a daughter sauce or a leading sauce. Great, so now that our bechamel is done, we can turn this into a leading sauce, which is the cheese sauce. As you can see, I have just tested the sauce. I've put it on the back of a spoon so that it can fall down. And then I've used another tool to make sure that when I draw the line in there that the sauce does not run. If the sauce is not running and it coats the back of the spoon, you've ticked all the boxes. So that's the consistency that you want. Now let's add the other ingredients. In our case right now, we're adding cheese. Of course, if you would like your finished recipe to have some additional spices and things like that, other mix-ins, please be my guest. You can definitely add some things to your customization. These are just the minimum that I'm adding for this demonstration so you can see what we can do with this sauce. Additionally, there are some individuals who have never made a bechamel before, have never made homemade quote-unquote mac and cheese before, so this is a great way to get you into the beginning of mother sauces. So as you can see, I just added some seasoning. I added some salt. I will be adding some black pepper to this as well. Please feel free, if you want it spicy, you can add cayenne pepper, you can add even chopped chilies. There's so many options with this canvas, really. So now that I've added my cheese and things, I'm just waiting to make sure that the cheese is properly melted. And once my sauce is very, very smooth and velvety, then I can add in my cooked pasta. My cheese sauce is perfect. I am going to add in my cooked pasta at this point. And remember that I have reserved some pasta water on the side here. So once I mix in my cooked pasta into the sauce, then I will add just a bit of my pasta water. Now, how much should you add, you ask? You add a little at a time. So the amount that I added at first was about 2 tablespoons, and I'm checking the viscosity of the of how the pasta kind of falls from the rubber spatula. If it's real gloopy and sticky, then I need to just add a bit more because I'm looking to go back to that nappe consistency. So you see here? Okay, that was maybe about 3 or 4 tablespoons, but I only had one addition of my pasta water, and it ended up really being just the right amount. So remember that that pasta water already has some seasoning in it as well. But just to be sure, before you get this in the oven, please make sure that you taste and see if it's to your seasoning liking and adjust accordingly. So see that texture? It just falls really kind of gently, and it has the nappe consistency that I'm looking for. Again, it's not too thick at this point. So I actually needed to re-season. Look at that. So after I've re-seasoned, I'm going to put it in an oven-safe pan and top it with just a little bit more of that grated cheese. So please make sure that you save a little bit to put on the top if that's what you would like to do. And I will bake this in a 400-degree oven until it's bubbling and golden. And then you can enjoy. And I hope that this kind of gives you an opportunity to make something from scratch that maybe you never have before, or also learn to utilize the cold water pasta cooking method, as well as making a mother sauce and a daughter sauce. Good luck to you this week. Lastly, I would like to mention, if you have a bunch of bechamel sauce or even a prepared cheese sauce and you're not going to use it right away, you can absolutely freeze that. So you can freeze it in, a plastic container or something like that for a few months actually, and then defrost it in the refrigerator. And once you're ready to use it, you might need just a little bit more milk to thin it out, but it stores very well. In the refrigerator, you can also store it for about a week or two, and it should be perfectly fine. So here is my finished baked cheese pasta, and I'm just going to dig into it here with my spoon so you can see the finished texture. So you see how nice and creamy it is, but because I utilize that starchy pasta water, I also don't have a sauce that is broken. Now, you might see in the future a mac and cheese pan and you have all of this excess grease and it's making your finished dish very greasy and broken, and that's because it doesn't have the addition of that starchy pasta water to kind of hold it together. So have fun with this one.